CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.
The Max to be one of them. Twins recognized 1991 and the historic World Series that was one of the greatest World Series ever played, many would tell you. Someone that was in the middle of it was Rick Aguilera. He'll return back to Minnesota this weekend to celebrate it. Rick, thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
You know, I know it's been 30 years. For some of us, it seems like it's been 10. And now I get to that point, Rick, where I try to explain to generations that didn't see it how special it was, and it's hard to explain, isn't it? It's hard to explain how good of a World Series that was to people that didn't witness it, isn't it?
Well, as you touched on it, I think arguably it was regarded as one of the greatest World Series played, and I know personally for me, and I think most of the guys in that team would say, I mean, we were a very unique team where there was really a bond of 25 guys that really enjoyed each other, their company, and that's not always the case. Every year you get a group that kind of click here or click there, but that seemed to be a very close and unique team.
And people forget, Rick. We focus on a Kirby Puckett Game 6 home run and a Jack Morris Game 7 pitching performances. The first 5 games had unbelievable storylines as well, and were back and forth. One game got away from you in Atlanta. That was Game 6, I think, but even that one was close until the late innings. Every game had its own storyline, and every game hung in the balance, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. First 2 games, I believe, were 1 or 2 run games, and I think it was late innings scoring. Game 3, I unfortunately recall losing that game. I actually came into the pinch hit, I think, in the 10th inning, which was kind of a unique thing. And
yep, because you're down in Atlanta.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we gave up a run in the 10th, I think, for them to win it as a walk-off. And then I think maybe 4 got out of hand, or 5, I don't recall. But all very, very close games, as you mentioned, well fought, and down to the last, get down to Game 7 and have those 2 pitching performances by Smoltz and of course Jack, just outstanding series.
We've asked Jack many times to take us through Game 7 and all those things. I don't think I've ever asked your perspective, because certainly as this game is unveiling itself, at some point in time, particularly at home, the closer is going to come into the game, and it's unheard of to see someone pitch beyond 9 innings into the 10th. What was your vantage point down there? Did you loosen up often? What was your thought pattern down there?
Well, I was just trying to kind of keep the same routine that I had gone throughout the season, and not really trying to get not trying to anticipate too much until the phone was actually to ring and to get ready. In this case, the phone rang. It rang in the 8th to get up. I believe Jack was in a bit of a pickle in the 8th inning, so they had me up throwing. I was ready to go, and Jack pitched out of it. There was a phone call in that half inning where we were hitting about, Aggie, be ready. You may be pitching the 9th.
Yep.
Okay. And then, the whole story with Jack kind of talking TK out of it, which rarely, I don't think has ever happened. But I think, looking at that game, and I think TK understanding the competitive spirit that Jack had and had been there before, and so on and so forth, and it was one of those things that, the better or the worse of 2 evils? Do I leave Jack in, or do I bring Aggie in? And then who knows what happens? So, Jack was just, I think, deserving of being able to be given the ball. And I think it was going to be going at a hitter at a time, and Jack pitched, I think, a very, very strong ninth. I sat down and thought, okay, maybe I'll get a call in the 10th, and out Jack went again. So a lot of emotion, obviously, but it's one of those things where I think TK went with his gut, and obviously it was the correct call.
Yeah, and the famous question to TK is, would he have pitched the 11th? And TK's answer always is the same. We'll never know, will we? I don't think he never committed one way or the other, did he?
No, and I've never known him to commit. No, and I think that if that's kind of maybe a similar question, would you have wanted to pitch the 11th? I says, well, yeah, I was ready to pitch whenever TK would have called to have me come in, but Jack again was deserving to at least go there as long as he can. If he got into trouble again, then perhaps he wouldn't be talked out of it a second time. But we'll never know, as TK said.
You were a starter when they made the deal from Viola to the New York Mets, and they ended up getting you and Tappan. Ended up being the big pieces that David West was at the time thought to be the high-end potential guy, and he didn't pan out quite at that level. He pitched in the big leagues for a while. But you get that phone call in the off-season from TK, as I understand it. They say, Aggie, we've been talking about it, and we'd like to see you as a closer coming into the spring. How did that hit you at first?
I've told the story many times, and it's the truth. TK called me, I want to believe it was January, and my wife answered the phone and comes to get me. I was in the yard doing something, and it's TK on the phone. Okay, fine. So talk to TK, and I'd only been there a couple of months, so I didn't know TK real well, but kind of get an understanding of, he doesn't mince words. He's pretty short and sweet, and that's kind of how he seems to roll a bit at times. But he had was rambling around a little bit about how, small talk, how's the off season been, how you doing, and all that kind of stuff. And he's kind of got around to it finally and said, hey, we've been kind of going over our pitching staff, and we lost Reard. He went over to another club, and we'll be looking over. We feel you'd be best suited to be our closer next year. And then I started to say something, and he says, I know you'll do what's best for this team. And he hung the phone up. So I kind of looked at the phone like, TK, hello?
Hello.
But kind of a true story. And I go back into the house, and my wife says, so what TK want? I says, I think I'm going to be the closer for the Twins next year. And that was kind of it. I was a little disappointed at the time because I was hoping to, to start again and get a chance to start. But obviously it all worked out, and kind of like TK said, you'll never know what would have happened if I would have tried. Although we did try it for a year, and that experiment didn't work out too well. So just kind of glad it all worked out. TK, had a lot of confidence and showed just some patience with me as times I kind of just getting used to the role and understanding when I was to fail and blow a save and what that felt like, and to be able to bounce back and just show competitive spirit for your teammates, and not to see them, let them see you get down and that sort of thing. But so he talked me through it along with Suchi as well. They kind of helped me, kind of grew me into that role.
And Aggie, we see the Twins have had some tough issues with their bullpen this year, and their closers. But today, Calumet was okay and has been the last couple of times. But in general, it's been a I don't want to say a nightmare, but it's a mystery every time they throw somebody out there in the ninth inning. Closing is one of those things that when you got a really good closer, it looks easy, and it seems like anybody could close until you see when a team struggles with it. What did you learn is the right mindset of a closer?
Well, you brought up some very good points, and it really can be detrimental to a team when that kind of thing starts to happen, where your go-to guy starts to struggle, and you try to stick with him, and he continues to struggle, and then the confidence of the team gets down, and you work so hard as a team to put your team in the lead in the late innings, to all but to have it kind of thrown away in the last innings. It's devastating to a team if it continues to happen. I think really more than anything else, I think that I learned from just the TK and his advice was, a lot of it is just trying to at least appear confident, even though when those times that you're struggling, you want your teammates to have the confidence in you, and you need to show that confidence. You walk out of that mound, even though you may know you could be in a time where you're struggling. And I think for me personally, is a lot of it just kind of understanding and learning to have a very short memory. I failed tonight, didn't get the job done for my ball club, and I better let that go right down the drain as I shower that night, because tomorrow night I could be in the same situation, and I don't want the same thing to be repeated again. So I think it's kind of try to learn from it. Learn from maybe it was my pitch selection, maybe it was getting a little too excited and not really pitching. I was starting to throw and not really be concerned about making quality pitches. So combination of a lot of that kind of stuff.
And last, there's two people that won't be with you, and of course as reunions go, and the further we go on in life, that'll be the case. But two people that were important to you in your career beyond Kirby Puckett, obviously, and then Rick Stelmazik, who ran that bullpen and ran a lot of things, his spring training and everything else. But you sat by him and logged a lot of innings down in the bullpen by him. Just a couple of comments on each one of them before we go, because they both meant so much to the Twins organization, but to you personally as well.
They certainly did, Max. I mean, I'm often asked, who was your favorite teammate, and who was the most fun to play with, and who, these sorts of things. And I've told this story as well. And I recall I was traded mid-season, and I was a New York Met at the time, and I got traded. We were in St. Louis, and I flew back to New York. And the Twins were playing the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. So I went home, packed up all my stuff, and went to the ballpark. And I came in the middle of the game, and I got dressed, got my uniform on, and I'm in the runway. I've never been in Yankee Stadium before. I'm at all of the place, just thinking this is Yankee Stadium. And I'm in the runway. And the dugout, the old stadium was kind of below grade a bit, but I was standing there eye level in the runway to the dugout, just kind of in the base of kind of walking into the dugout, and I can see the playing field. Puckett was up. He hit into a double play, came back down into the dugout, kind of tossed his helmet off to the side, and kind of walked into the runway towards me. And he looked up and he says, "Hey, Aggie, welcome to the Twins," and gave me this big handshake. And I thought, wow, he called me Aggie. He knew my nickname and welcomed me to the team. He just grounded out into a double play. And I thought, you know what? That was my first experience and first words ever spoken with Puck. And I thought, I'm being welcomed by Kirby Puckett, So that's the kind of guy he was. It was all about the team. You wouldn't know it if he was 0 for 4 or 4 for 4 when the game was over with, as long as we won. If we won, he was happy, he was giggling. Those that knew Puck, and they knew that giggle that we've all heard. Yep. He was just the ultimate teammate, team player. And Stelly on the other side too. I mean, he instrumental, and it's kind of old school back to how it was when back in my day. But Stelly he'd be in charge of running the spring training camps. He literally would be squatting down, catching me to warm up during games. They didn't have bullpen catchers back then. We had the backup catcher, Junior Ortiz, was there when he wasn't catching that day, and we'd have Stelly. So you could double barrel down the dugout or in the bullpen, and Stelly would be one of those guys, on a knee and taking balls off the shin or whatever, a bad pitch here and there, and using some colorful language. Yeah, I was gonna say he'd cuss at us on occasion, and But he was the ultimate coach, and took it for the team, and he was kind of I was kind of tough, but he was kind of a grumpy old guy, but deep down he was a really soft, great heart, good passionate guy for the game, and really loyal to his bullpen mates. Yeah, because it could take a minute because you'd think he was grumpy, but that was just him that was his exterior, and it really meant nothing about how he felt about you. Absolutely. I agree 100%. He kind of come across as a big, gruff, tough guy, but he was a softy inside, and just a really great coach. And and people, I think, kind of took it for granted. I mean, he would often have very prudent things to say in regards to prepping for a game or prepping for the battles I was going to face, or maybe recognizing. I'm just speaking personally, but just recognizing maybe I'm overthrown, a little amped up in my pre-inning warm up, and these kind of things. And we had a great relationship, and everything very fondly of him, and again, and of Puck as well. They'll both be very much missed this weekend.
Yeah. Rick, thank you so much for giving us some time and a little walk down memory lane. We need that once in a while just to remember what it's like to feel good and when the magic really does happen. And it is magical because you almost can't explain it, can you? It just happens and it grows and at the end you go, wow, this is what it feels like, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a great point. You never know when that magic may happen. People forget that we were a last place team in 1990. So, things can turn around very quickly, and you just get the right additions, and you get the chemistry on the team. You get the right guy leading the club, and everything works together to where, hey, this is things. Magic happens, and it happened to us. It can happen hopefully very soon here for our club.
Rick, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you this weekend. Enjoy yourself.
I appreciate it. We're looking for a great weekend. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Rick Aguilera, Minnesota Twins closer.
On Pod Save the World, we want to be your cheat sheet for global events. My name is Tommy Vitor, and each week, my co-host Ben Rhodes and I break down the biggest stories from around the world. Ben and I both worked on President Obama's national security staff, and we'll introduce you to the activists, politicians, and journalists who can help us understand what's going on around the world, what it means for the United States, and what it's like being inside the White House Situation Room during a crisis.
Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.